Put your hands up. Put your hand behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
What happens when a routine traffic stop turns into a discovery of a dead body? Imagine being a cop in such a situation and finding a dead body in the trunk of a seemingly normal car. The same happened on July 29, 2020 in Louisiana, when a cop pulled over a vehicle that was speeding on the highway. What led the cop to the dead body? Join us as we find out through this investigation. The tragic discovery of Michael Robinson's death occurred when a Louisiana State Police trooper observed the black Chevrolet Camaro traveling at a high speed on Louisiana 17 in Franklin Parish. The person in the car is 18-year-old Michael Mitchell. The cop pulled over as it was clear that Mitchell was violating the speed limit. On further questioning, it came to light that he had been driving at nearly 20 miles per hour above the posted speed limit, and shockingly, he didn't possess a valid driver's license. The potential consequences for this offense were grave, encompassing fines of up to $500 and a possible 6-month jail sentence, not to mention additional penalties tied to the speeding ticket. However, beneath the surface of this routine traffic stop, an unanticipated twist awaited them. Unbeknownst to the vigilant officer, Mitchell's fate held more than a mere speeding ticket. Sensing an opportunity to escalate the charges, the officer probed further. The police officer had more in mind than merely pursuing a DUI charge against Mitchell. The sight of an 18-year-old speeding in a vehicle, compounded by the pungent aroma of marijuana wafting from the car, led the officer to suspect that this traffic stop concealed a deeper, more intricate story than a young driver simply exceeding the speed limit. However, before the officer could request permission to search the vehicle for potential narcotics, Mitchell's behavior began to take on an increasingly suspicious turn. With Mitchell's consent, the officer proceeded to search his vehicle. Primarily, the officer had been focused on uncovering any signs of marijuana or other illicit substances within the car.
Headed right now.
I was headed back home.
Where's home? What's your address? No, stop. Come here. Where do you live? It's easy. It's easy to answer this. Where do you live? You don't know how to drive to your house?
However, as the search unfolded, the officer remained unaware of the startling discovery awaiting him. The initial search of the front seats yielded no incriminating evidence. Yet, as the officer's inspection extended to the exterior of the vehicle, a chilling revelation emerged. The officer's trained eye identified multiple bullet holes peppered across the left side of the vehicle's exterior. This discovery sent a shiver down the officer's spine. It became increasingly evident to the officer that the situation had taken a dark and unsettling turn. What had initially appeared to be a routine traffic stop had now transformed into something far more ominous. It was dawning on the officer that the suspect, Mitchell, might have unwittingly become entangled in a much larger and more complex scenario than he had ever imagined. On inquiring about the bullets, Mitchell tells the officer about the car having to do something with his brother.
When did all this happen? When did all that happen?
That happened.
When?
My brother, he said it.
How long ago?
Like
days?
Yeah, it was like.
Okay, come back. Just leave this here. Come back here. Just stay right here in front of my car.
The cop shares the details of the car and the incident with other officers through walkie-talkie and waits for some information. The officers did some checks, and it became clear that Mitchell was not being truthful. His claimed address didn't match the information they found. It was entirely different. Moreover, the car was registered under a different name than Mitchell's, with a completely different last name. Initially, he mentioned living in Winsboro, but it turned out he had an address in Richwood. Additionally, the car's records showed that it was associated with Monroe. To make matters more confusing, he had a GPS device installed, but he couldn't even provide the correct address, suggesting that he was not being honest about several things.
Address, so he's lying about a bunch of junk. Where do you live? Be honest to me. Monroe?
Yes.
Richwood?
Yes.
You don't live in Winsboro.
No, sir.
Why would you try to bluff me on that? Why would you lie to me on that? Because I already knew that before this guy said something. What's up? Talk to me. You better stop lying to me right now. You're going to be in jail.
I'm just going.
The situation had already been rather perplexing, but then an unexpected twist occurred. Out of nowhere, an unrelated man arrived at the scene, indicating that his family had been inquiring about someone. The stranger told the officer that the kid was reported missing and his family was looking for him. How weird is this? Was this a coincidence, or was Mitchell really lucky? However, the mystery deepened as the stranger provided a different name, not matching either Mitchell's or the vehicle owner's. With each new name introduced, the officer's confusion increased. What had initially begun as a routine traffic stop had now evolved into a perplexing puzzle, leaving the officer determined to unravel it and get to the bottom of things.
There's a kid that's been reported missing, and that they took the car from Monroe, and he lied to me about his last name, his address and where he's from. Random guy pulls up behind me, said, "Hey, this guy's looking for that kid. I need to know if this car has been reported."
Gradually, the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. If Mitchell's account held true, it appeared that his brother had allowed him to drive a car that had been taken from his rightful owner unlawfully. However, this narrative failed to provide answers to the perplexing questions surrounding the bullet holes, Mitchell's false address, and the unexpected arrival of a stranger in search of him, fully aware that he was behind the wheel of that particular vehicle. Adding another layer of complexity to the unfolding mystery, the officer received radio communication disclosing the existence of a concealed missing person report amidst the chaos. Based on the information provided, it was relayed that the young man who had granted permission for Mitchell to use the car was currently reported as missing. Consequently, it appeared that Mitchell had been fabricating a false narrative. The officer advised conducting a search for the rightful owner of the vehicle and discovered that the owner's son was also missing. This revelation coincided with the discovery of bullet holes riddling the car. In response to these crucial developments, the officer understood, realizing that something appeared to be awry. The sole untruth relayed pertained to his Winsboro address. He conveyed his desire to investigate any possible links to the missing boy or the presence of bullet holes in the vehicle further. Additionally, he mentioned that he would initiate contact to compile as much relevant information as he could. Several additional calls were initiated, ultimately revealing that the missing person was Michael Robinson. Robinson was purportedly the sibling of the young man found at the scene who had granted Mitchell permission to operate the vehicle. However, the ownership of the car remained a point of uncertainty. Nevertheless, the officer temporarily set aside this aspect of the case to re-examine the vehicle with the arrival of backup. Upon inspection, they came to the conclusion that the bullets must have been shot close to the car. Little did they know, this is where all the questions would be answered at once, in the most gruesome way imaginable. The officer steps forward to inspect the car further. As they opened the trunk, the truth became all clear. The dead body was out in the open, shocking everybody present around there.
Put your hands up. Put your hand behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. You have a right to an attorney. Have one present during any questioning. At any time, you choose not to make any statements or answer any questions. You understand?
Whose body was this? It was Michael Robinson, the probable owner of the car. Robinson, who tragically lost his life, had promising plans ahead. He was on the verge of graduating from Grambling State University in the upcoming fall semester. Additionally, he had aspirations of becoming a state trooper, having already completed his application. In fact, he had intended to submit it during the same week. Robinson had been actively preparing for a significant transition as he aimed to relocate, secure an apartment in Dallas, and embark on a new chapter in his life. The reason why Mitchell gave the wrong surname to the cops was now clear.
5030571250357. F39 Troop F desk. Good. Need a supervisor out here.
Michael Robinson and Mitchell were not related in any way. Tragically, Robinson became an unintended victim of an armed robbery in which Mitchell had been involved earlier. Mitchell made a confession regarding his involvement in an armed robbery, which tragically led to the death of Michael Robinson. According to Mitchell's admission, he and a 19-year-old man named Cameron Poe had orchestrated and executed the robbery in Richwood. During the robbery, Poe allegedly discharged a handgun, inflicting multiple gunshot wounds on Robinson. Subsequently, as indicated in the warrant, the suspects proceeded to load Robinson's lifeless body into the rear of the car and drive towards Winsboro with the intention of disposing of the remains. However, fate intervened when Mitchell was pulled over by the police officer for exceeding the speed limit. Presently, Michael Mitchell faces severe charges, including armed robbery and second-degree murder in connection with the death of Michael Robinson. Doesn't realizing that our cops are at work make us feel safe?